Friends, welcome back. Previous session, we have already understood what is indirect tax and what is direct tax. And in different kind of bill, how IGST is levied, how CGST and SGSTs are levied, those concepts we have understood. And let us first of all now continue. Let us try to understand what are the features of indirect tax. Going to share the screen with you right now. Features of indirect tax, previous class, just we are going through these points. Then this is an important source of revenue. It is a commodities and services and all. So one by one, we'll be discussing these points. So first point is that indirect tax is a very important source of revenue. In fact, it's a major source for the government. More than 50% of the total tax revenue is from indirect taxes. Okay, that helps the government to spend money, to collect money, and to spend for developmental activities. And second feature is that it is a tax both on commodities and services. Indirect tax is a kind of tax where the person who collects the tax, who pays the tax to the government, shifts the burden to the ultimate consumer. But it is a kind of tax where the consumer do not feel the pinch. It doesn't. Consumers do not perceive that tax is going out of their pocket because it is already included in the price. This is one more feature we know. And effect is that effect of indirect tax is that it increases the price. Consequently, it is inflationary in nature. Tax base under indirect tax is very wide, unlike income tax, where people who are having more income, they pay more tax, or having income beyond a particular limit, they pay tax. Indirect tax is paid by all, so tax base is very wide. Indirect tax system promotes the social welfare also. If certain goods and services, the government wants that these goods and services should not be consumed, so more tax is levied on those goods like alcoholic product, tobacco products, etc. So it promotes social welfare also. This kind of tax system is regressive in nature. Regressive in the sense, irrespective of your ability to pay, everybody pays uniform tax. Rich pays same rate of tax, poor pays same rate of tax, unlike income tax where people, if the people are having the ability to pay more tax, they pay more. Those who are having ability to pay less tax, they pay less. But under indirect tax, everybody pays tax at the same rate. Okay. Now, some of the reason why understanding indirect tax is very important for us. Let us try to learn. First of all, you see, if you look at, let me show you some example. If you look at statement and profit and loss account of a business, so let me put it in this form, horizontal form. Purposefully, I'm putting. Let us say this is my statement of profit and loss account. You are able to see it. So, yeah, I was asking you once, you know what is top line? You can tell me what is the meaning of top line?
Sir, sales or revenues?
Yeah, it's a revenue. Revenue is equal to top line.
The total gross income of the business.
Income is equal to top line. What is bottom line?
The net income. So left after the payment.
Net income or profit is the bottom line. If I put this statement of profit and loss in vertical form, you know how it is presented? Yes or no? Suppose you'll see the profit and loss statement of a company, how it has to be presented, how the statement of profit and loss account is presented. You know, there is a format. That format is prescribed in where it is prescribed, the format of statement of profit and loss. Who can tell me? Can anyone tell me? For a company.
When is that?
Yeah.
Companies Act 2013.
2013. Where it is prescribed? Okay, for the benefit of all, let me show you where you can find it. Just give me a second for that again. I'll show you the format now. So for that thing, we have to refer to Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013. So let me take you to MCA website for that purpose. Again, I am showing you the Google homepage. From here, I am taking you to mca.gov.in. Are you able to see it? Are you able to see it? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You see under mca.gov.in, here you see acts and rules are there. I clicked here. I'm going to acts and rules. You see here is the link acts. I'm going to read the Companies Act 2013. Companies Act 2013, you see, these are the various chapters. Inside the chapter sections are there. Once these chapters are over, you see Schedule 1, Schedule 2, Schedule 3. We are interested in Schedule 3. Just have a look at this. Schedule 3. Are you finding a general instruction for preparation of balance sheet and statement of profit and loss of a company? If you look at here, you can find out this Schedule 3. Okay, Schedule 3 is the format. This is the format of balance sheet. You can see it. After the class, please visit to this website to understand what is the format of balance sheet, and also try to understand what is the format for statement of profit and loss. I'll take you through. Give me 1 second. You see statement of profit and loss are prepared in this format. This is the top line. This is called as the revenue from operations. Then other income, total income. Then you see expenses are there. Expenses include cost of material consumed, purchase of stock in trade, other expenses, all these things are there. Finally, you can find out after expenses are there, profit before exceptional items. Finally, we'll arrive at the profit and loss for the period. Okay, this is the profit and loss for the period. This is called as the bottom line. Right, this is the bottom line. Understood? Now the same thing, I am showing it here. Let us say in a horizontal format. So here I am writing my revenue. This side my expenses are there. Let us say my direct expenses, indirect expenses. It may include my purchase, all these things. Finally, profit will be there, and my profit and loss statement will match. Is it done? And if you look at this profit and loss statement, here you see revenue includes GST or indirect tax. Here purchases includes GST. Expenses, many expenditure, let us say purchase of stationery, many expenditures, they also include GST. All these things are included, and all of them affects a company's or an entity's cash flow. So ignoring this thing, suppose I will say revenue, I'll ignore GST, purchase, I'll ignore GST. By ignoring GST, it will be very difficult to take business decisions because they are related to cash flows. They influence the cash flows. Are you able to understand? So GST or indirect tax plays a very important role in the context of understanding the business and also in the context of taking business decisions. You are agreeing to it? Now, if you see, these are the areas which are directly affected by GST or indirect tax. Our revenue from operation gets affected by GST. Other income also gets affected. Purchases of stock in trade gets affected. All direct expenses, indirect expenses gets affected by GST. And in the balance sheet item, when assets are purchased, that also gets affected by GST. Consequently, gross profit amount gets affected, net profit amount gets affected. And in the balance sheet, GST needs to be collected and GST needs to be paid also. Is it not? On sales, you have to pay GST. So that is your GST liability. Whenever we are purchasing, you are taking an input tax credit, that is your GST asset. And both are current liability, both are current. GST liability is also current liability, GST assets are also current assets because within the operating cycle, that needs to be set up. So this also affects my current ratio. This affects my short-term solvency of my business. So when you're talking about the business management, so it affects my short-term solvency because my current asset position, current liability positions are also getting affected by the GST, and not a small amount. Normal tax rate is 18%. 18% is not small amount. For example, the moment you are selling it for 1 lakh, immediately you are creating a liability to pay 18,000. 18,000 liability is not a small amount. You are collecting 1 lakh rupees, you have to pay 18,000. Same also in purchase. You are having assets. GST assets are there. Amount is big. Right? It affects my entire cash flow. And it also affects my return on investment. Therefore, it is important. Therefore, we feel that without understanding the implication of GST, it will be very difficult to take business decisions. And that too, non-compliance of GST law. Suppose GST law is not compliant, taxes are not paid in time, or let us say returns are not filed in time, then the penal consequences are heavy. Heavy penalties are also imposed. And because of that heavy penalty also, we have seen instances, many instances are there. Companies are closed because of they're unable to comply the GST law. If the law is not compliant, penalty amount is very heavy. Per day basis, you have to keep on penalty. Let us say someone has not complied for 3 years. After that, he has to rethink because penalty itself will come 3-4 lakhs. So he may think in this kind of business whether I should pay GST to regularize it or I should close the business. So it affects the continuity of the business also, and to the extent it may go affecting the going concern assumption. The fundamental assumption we take that business will be continuing. By calculating GST liability, you may think with so much of liability, whether going concern assumption is still valid. That is also another challenge. And there has been many examples. We have seen many examples are there. Businesses are closed because they're unable to handle GST. So therefore, it is important for us from the very beginning. One need to be very careful that what is the GST liability, what needs to be settled. That needs to be settled in time. And all compliances need to be regularized. Okay. Now, friends, so when we are learning this topic, so please, some interest to understand it so that you will be able to practically implement all these things and the penalty implications will not be faced by you. Now, let us quickly understand the genesis of GST in India, how it has been developed. This is in fact the history, but still let us quickly understand. You see, in the year 2000, the then Prime Minister introduced the concept of GST and set up a committee to design the GST model for the country. So you can see it was initiated in the year 2000. And in the year 2006, so announcement made by the Union Finance Minister during his budget 2006-07 that GST will be introduced from 1st April 2010. So this was the planning. 1st April 2010 it was supposed to be introduced, but process was initiated in the year 2000. But that required some constitution amendment bill was required. So therefore it could not be passed because constitution was not amended at that point of time. Finally, in the year 2014, the constitution 122nd amendment bill was passed, introduced in the Lok Sabha, and 101st amendment act was passed in the year 2016. Then in the year 2016, first GST council meeting was held in the month of September. Then in March 2017, GST Council recommends these types of GSTs like CGST, SGST, IGST, UTGST, and compensation cess bill. These laws were required to be passed in March 2017. Council recommended. Accordingly, in April 2017, these acts were passed. CGST, IGST, UTGST, and compensation cess acts were passed. So April 2017 law was passed. GST Council recommended certain rules apart from the act. Rules were also necessary. The rules were recommended in May 2017. And all states except the state of Jammu and Kashmir passed their own SGST act. Every state level, they passed their own act. By 30th June, all the states had passed. And on 1st July 2017, GST was launched in our country. And on 8th July 2017, SGST Act was passed in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. So you can say from 8th July onwards, GST is implemented in the whole country. It applies to all states. So this is the date you can say. 1st July 2017, GST law was launched in our country. Before that, various central acts, state level acts, unitary acts are already passed. And in our country, we are following a GST model, which is called as dual GST model. Dual GST model means the center and state simultaneously will be levying the GST. Both of them will be levying GST on goods and services. That is what we have already seen in our bills. Center was levying, CGST was levied, SGST was levied. I had shown you in the previous class. 27th March 2017, these are the central legislations which are passed, like CGST bill, IGST bill, UTGST bill, and GST compensation to states bill 2017. These are introduced in Lok Sabha on 27th March 2017. Lok Sabha passed them on 29th March 2017 and received the President's assent on 12th April 2017. This is the history how GST law came into existence. On 30th June, by 30th June, all the states had passed their own GST law. And later on, all the states means excluding the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Later on, it was extended to Jammu and Kashmir on 8th July 2017. Okay. Now, earlier, prior to GST, if you look, these are various central tax laws were there, and these are various state laws were there. All of them are submerged, all of them are merged with GST. And finally, only one tax was levied, that is GST. So many taxes which are earlier there, like this thing, central excise duty, service tax, excise duty on medicinal toilet preparations, countervailing duty, central sales tax, all these central acts, and state level taxes like entertainment tax, state VAT, taxes on lottery, entry tax, so luxury tax, all these are merged with GST. Now only one tax is there. But even if so many taxes are merged, there are still certain items which are outside the scope of GST. So these are the items to which GST is not applicable. First item you see, you can read it, alcohol for human consumption. Still GST law doesn't apply to this item. Now state governments has power to levy tax on this. Power to tax remains with the state, alcohol for human consumption. Similarly, 5 kind of petroleum products like crude oil, diesel, petrol, natural gas, and ATF. So these are this is the aero turbine fuel. So these are the items which are beyond the scope of GST. GST Council to decide the date from which date this GST will be applicable on them, and all these items excise duty is still applicable. Okay, once they come under the scope of GST, then excise duty will be eliminated on that. Entertainment tax, which is levied by local bodies, GST does not include this entertainment tax. So now also the powers remains with the local bodies to levy entertainment tax. on tobacco products within the purview of GST, but power to levy excise duty is also levied, also written. Excise duty is also levied on tobacco products. So these are some products like alcohol products, petroleum products, entertainment tax, and tobacco products, which are beyond the, or you can say outside the GST net. Understood this?
So this, can you repeat it? This, like the 5 petroleum products is still under the control of the state, or like it is written that like GST Council to decide the date, like till now.
As of now, situation is that it may be included with GST. GST may be levied on them, but GST Council has to decide. And if Council has got representation from all states, that they have to decide that whether GST will be levied or not on that thing or not. Right now, situation is that it is not included for GST. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so power is there, it can be included, but council has to decide when to include that thing. Is it okay? So you have to remember these exceptions, these 5 items. Now, one more concept relating to GST. As you know, GST is a value-added tax levied on manufacture, sale, and consumption of goods and services. That means whenever there is a supply, GST is levied. GST offers comprehensive and continuous chain of tax credit. We'll understand it, how tax credit is continuous and how tax credit is comprehensive. That means there is a credit system. If you have already paid tax some input, you are eligible to take credit of that. Okay, finally, ultimately, the tax has to be borne by the consumer. The supplier at each stage avails credit of GST. And only the final consumer bears GST. Okay, since it is so, that means supplier is paying tax on the value of supply and availing input credit. Effectively, it is understood as the tax on value addition. Therefore, it is referred to as value added tax. And there is no difference between goods and services. So far as GST is concerned, they are same. Whenever there is a supply, GST is levied. So if I summarize what I talked right now, the GST is a value added tax. How come it is a value added tax? We'll be learning this. It ensures continuous chain of tax credit. Okay, and the burden is borne by the final consumer. But there is no cascading effect of tax. Cascading effect of tax means tax on tax. One tax is paid, further tax will be paid again on that. So there is no tax on tax. Only one time tax will be levied. How it is possible? Tax will be levied on the output, but whatever tax paid at the input, one can avail input tax credit on that. Are you able to understand? Or I will be helping you with the help of some example. Let me show you some example. I think after that only it will be clarified to you. Okay, so let us do a small exercise now. Let us start. Let us take a real business situation. I'm writing here. Let us understand how GST is on value addition. Are you able to see it? Let me increase the font size. Let us say there is a manufacturer. There is a distributor. Are you able to see it? There is a retailer. Let us say there is a consumer. This is the situation. So this is the chain in a business. Okay, product moves from manufacturer to distributor, distributor to retailer, retailer to consumer. Okay, are you able to understand? Now let us start from here. Let us say base cost, or let us say cost. Let us say cost of the manufacturer is 1 lakh. Or for simplification, let me take 10,000. Let us assume manufacturer at no profit. Let us say profit is 0. Base sales value is how much? At what price he will be selling? Sales value. At what price will be selling? Cost plus profit, is it not? So you see, base sale price is same 10,000. Now let us say he is adding GST. Let us take first GST rate. Will take, assume 18% is the GST rate. Are you watching it? Tell me how much will be the GST amount here? How much will be GST amount?
1800.
Yes, exactly. So this is the base value into 18%. So you will be giving a GST amount is this much. What will be the total bill amount? From customer, how much you will collect?
11,800.
Okay. Are you saying it? Fine. So this is the manufacturer. Now, that from manufacturer, who is collecting? Distributor will collect. Tell me what will the cost of distributor? Base price, let us say. Base price, let us say, base price is 10,000 because 10,000 rupees manufacturer has sold. Is it done? Now, distributor, what will do? Let us say he's adding a profit. Let us say his profit is 2,000. Are you getting? If his profit is 2,000, what will the sales base value for distributor? 12,000. Are you able to understand? Yes or no? Can you reply?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
12,000. So his sale value is 12,000, but he'll be also charging GST on this. 18%. GST amount is how much? 2,160. How? 18% on 12,000. Total bill amount will be how much? How much will be collecting from customers? How much? This much money will be collecting from customers. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, his bill amount will be base value 12,000 plus GST 2,160. Total amount is 14,160. Now, what is his GST liability? How much he should pay to government? GST liability is this much he has collected from customer and he has to pay this much. Is it not? But how he will pay out of this GST liability on this input when he purchased for 10,000 base price, he has already paid GST 1,800 or not?
Yes, sir.
Already paid 1,800. So what he will do actually, this 2,006 he will pay, he will write less ITC, that is input tax credit. How much? On his input.
1,800.
So effectively, for how much will pay in cash? This much money will pay. Okay. This is his liability. minus, just give me one more second. Yeah, this is his amount payable minus this is the ITC. This much money is sorry. Amount will be this is the liability minus this is income input tax credit. This much money you'll be paying. Okay, effectively, how much money will go from his pocket? 360 rupees. Understood? Because in his purchase bill, if you see this bill, the base amount was 10,000 rupees, but GST paid 1,800 rupees. So on his output liability, 2,160, 1,800 will be reduced and 360 rupees will be paid. In fact, it will be understood he is discharging his liability of 2,160 by using input tax credit 1,800 and paying in cash 360. Did you understand this example? Yes or no? Or should I repeat it?
So please repeat it.
Again, I repeat. Okay. Now you see, there was a manufacturer who produces at 10,000 rupees. Let us first case will ignore there is no profit. He's selling it at 10,000 rupees, but when he's selling, he's also charging GST 18%. So his sales value will include another 1,800. So totally his sale bill will be 11,800. And from him, distributor is purchasing. When distributor is purchasing, he's purchasing at base price 10,000. Okay. But he has paid 1,800. Distributor will be paying 1,800. That is his input tax credit. Okay.
What input tax?
What input tax means? When you are purchasing something, when you have already paid GST on that, that is your input. So in your business process, that is the input.
Oh, yes, sir. Got it. Got it.
Got it? So when he is buying it at 10,000 rupees, but he is also paying GST. He's bought it at 10,000 rupees, but GST has already paid 1,800. Or I will add it one more thing. One more. I will insert. Let us say cost is this much. GST on input. GST on input is 1,800. So totally he has paid 11,800. 11,800 is components like this. Okay, 10,000 plus 1,800. 1,800 is GST he has paid. Okay, this is his input tax credit, you can say. Now, he is adding some profit to it. Profit is 2,000 rupees. At what price he will be selling? He is purchased at 10,000 rupees. Add 2,000 rupees. His base price is 13,000 rupees. And when he will be selling, he will be paying GST at 18%. So GST amount will be this much, 13,800 into 8%. Into 18%. Okay, so it's equal to this. No, not 13,200. It will be, sorry, it will be, base price will be 10,000 plus 2,000. 12,000. On this 12,000, 18% will be levied. So 2,160 will be GST amount. Are you getting? 2,160 rupees GST amount. So total amount will be charging 14,160. 14,160 includes GST liability of 1,160, but there is an input tax credit of 1,800 that will be reduced from here. Finally, he has to pay 360 rupees in cash. Did you understand this concept? Yes or no?
Yes,
sir.
Now let us move to one more stage.
Sir, one doubt.
Yeah, please ask me.
Sir, basically, finally, the distributor has to pay 360 GST.
360 rupees in cash.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And he has to utilize ITC 1,800.
Okay. Yes, sir. Got it.
Okay. Now let us move to next stage. After that only it will be clear, more clear to you. Now from distributor, retailer is purchasing. Retailer purchasing, retailer's base price is how much? Because distributor is selling at 12,000, retailer's purchase price is 12,000. Okay, but 12,000 base price, but he's also paying GST how much? 1860. 1860 retailer will charge, distributor will charge to retailer. Okay. Retailer is adding a profit of 3,000. A retailer selling base price is how much? 12,000 plus his profit 3,000, 15,000. Understood? When he's selling to a customer, he will be charging 18% or 15,000. That comes to 2,700. His total bill amount will be 15,000 plus 2,700, that is 17,700. His GST liability will be 2,700. But he has already paid ITC. How much? This much, 2,160. Input tax credit he has already paid. So how much effectively he will be paying? 540 rupees he will be paying to government. Understood? From customer he is collecting 2,700. Okay. And when he has purchased, he has already paid 2,160. So balance 540 rupees he has to pay now. Understood this? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now, next you will see from consumer. Consumer will buy at 15,000. Consumer has to consume. Okay. And there is GST. 15,000 plus GST is there. GST is how much? 2,700. Consumer will not add any profit, will consume. So his price will be how much? Total. His purchase price will be, purchase price will be for a consumer, the purchase price will be this plus this. Because he is not selling to anyone. His purchase price is this will be this will be his total cost. And he is consuming the entire GST. Entire GST will be borne, 2,700 will be borne by him. He will be bearing the burden. But effectively, these two people pay how much? 360 and 540. Why they pay this much? Why this person paid 360? Because he purchased at what price? 10,000. Sold it at 2,000. So when he purchased item at 10,000, selling it as 12,000, that means in his process, in the value chain, he is making a value addition of 2,000 rupees. Yes or no? Because he purchased at 10,000, sold as 12,000. He is making a value addition of 2,000 rupees. Agree? Yes or no? Are you agreeing or not?
Yes, sir.
If he is making a value addition of 2,000 rupees, he will pay GST on 2,000 rupees. So GST on 2,000 rupees is equal to 2,000 rupees into 18%. You see 360 rupees, that's what he is paying. So therefore, you say effectively it is a tax and value addition. But how it is implemented? You pay your duty liability is the full duty liability on your amount of supply, on the value of supply. But you can avail ITC. Effectively, you will be paying 360 rupees, which is the tax and value addition. Now, why retailer is paying 560? Because he has made a value addition of 3,000. 12,000 he purchased, sold it at 15,000. He made a value addition of 3,000. So for 3,000, he have to pay GST. So he is paying GST on 3,000 into 18%. He is paying, 3,000 into 18%. Let me check you once. He is paying GST at the rate of, let me calculate again. 3,000 into 18%. If you see, it comes to 540. 540 is paying. But ultimately, who is bearing? 2,700 is borne by the consumer. Okay. And how much GST government collected? For the manufacturer, how much it collected, you see? From manufacturer, it collected 1,800. From distributor, it collected 360. From retailer, it collected 540. Total, if you see, government got 2,700. Who is bearing 2,700? Consumer is bearing 2,700. This middlemen are not bearing anything. They pay only 360 rupees, which is their value addition. It's the tax on the value addition. Manufacturer paid 1,800, distributor paid 360, retailer paid 540, and ultimately consumer paid 2,700.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah, please ask your question.
Sir, basically the distributor is paying sir 2,160.
Yes.
So after that, he's availing a input on GST on input 1,800 rupees.
After that means when we discharge this liability, this is the liability. He is supposed to pay 2,160. Okay, when we will discharging his liability, we'll see how much input credit he is having. He's already having credit. That means already he's paid 1,800. So the differential amount, the 360 rupees, will be paying now.
So that 1,800 he has paid to whom, sir? To the
1,800. When he purchased the goods from manufacturer, he paid 1,800. When he purchased goods from manufacturer, he paid 1,800.
Sir, then total he has paid to the manufacturer, sir, 11,800.
11,000 in this manufacturer total bill, you see 11,800 is his bill amount. But this bill amount consists of two parts. Basic cost is 10,000 rupees, GST is 1,000 rupees. Okay, so manufacturer bill is 11,800. Please have a look. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir. Yes.
All of you understood how money is collected by government. Government got 2,700 and consumer paid 2,700. But government, yeah, please ask it.
So here, like we can say, like that 1,800, he paid to manufacturer, but like while giving the total amount, he only took that amount. Like he got his money back only. Like, then what's the value? Like here in this situation, like everyone should pay. Like as is we can take an example of manufacturer. He is manufacturing means like he also have to pay something. But here
Yes.
and then next as distributor the same way. But like while collecting and sending the actual money to the government, he is taking that amount only like 1,800 for before the distributor paid to the manufacturer. Now he is that amount only he is collecting from the customer. Then what he paid from his pocket?
What he paid only on the value addition. You see, he is getting input credit on 1,800. 1,800 means GST on his input, but his liability is on GST on his output. His input value is 10,000, output value is 12,000. In between, he has made a value addition of 2,000 rupees. On these 2,000 rupees, he is paying 360. Okay, that is why it is called as value tax on value addition. Or let me explain you with the help of another example. Okay, let us take one more example now. Focus here. All of us need to understand this concept. Let us take a practical example. Forget for the time being, forget that Excel sheet. Once again, we'll be coming to that Excel sheet and we are supposed to do a model in that Excel sheet also for clarifying your understanding. Let us say you take a simple example. Think of an example of a simple carpenter. He purchases some input material. What can be the input material for carpenter? Let us say he purchased some wood. Okay, maybe two items are there: wood, Fevicol, etc. And he has his own equipments. He purchased it for 10,000. When he purchased it for 10,000 rupees, he will be paying GST or not? When he purchased from the shop, you paid GST. Let us start from that. He paid GST. How much he is paying? Let us say 1,800. So 11,800 will be his bill. Right? Okay. Now you see what he did. Now you see, he purchased wood and paper. He converted it into something. Let us say he converted it into a table. Table. Now in table means he purchased everything 10,000. And the moment he converted into a table, he'll be selling the table not at 10,000. He may be selling the table at, let us say, 15,000. When I'm saying he's making table making at 15,000, but what he's doing, he's making a value addition. That means 10,000 worth goods become 15,000. He's making a value addition. Yes or no? Goods which is worth 10,000, now it become 15,000. There is a value addition or not? Now under GST law, he has to pay tax on that value addition. How much is the value addition? 5,000. He's supposed to pay tax on 5,000. Now how will you be paying tax on 5,000? What he will do? He's selling at 15,000. On his 15,000, what will be his GST liability? 18% on 15,000. Okay. 18% on 15,000, how much? How much?
2,700.
1,700.
2,700. Now, when he will be selling, he will be adding GST 2,700. How much money he will be collecting from consumer? How much?
17,700.
This month all you collect. We collected this was what? How much money he is supposed to pay to government? What is his liability? How much money he has collected? 2,700 to pay to government. How much? 2,700. Yes or no? But how he will pay? At the time of payment, he will say, okay, my liability is this much, but I got inputted it. How much? Less ITC. How much is the ITC?
1,800.
1,800. So how much he is going to pay now? Tell me.
900.
900.
900 he is going to pay. So he will pay government 2,700. I'll be showing you how payments are made in another class practically. We'll say this much 2,700 rupees is paid, but how it is paid? In cash 900 and through ITC 1,800. So how much money is going out of his pocket?
900.
900. So ultimately 900 is going from his pocket. And what is this 900? 900, you see, he has made a value addition of 5,000 rupees. And 18% on 5,000 how much? 18% on 5,000 is how much?
900.
900. So effectively that is what he is paying. So is it not a tax on value addition? Okay. We are saying it's a tax on value addition, but how practically it will be implemented? It will be implemented like this. When you are selling, it is your full tax liability you have to pay. But in case you have input tax credit, avail that thing. So if you are paying full tax and availing credit, effectively you are paying tax on value addition. Is it clear to you? Now let us say next. Let us move to next. You will be paying 9. Next is, let us say, from this carpenter, table was purchased. Let us say somebody purchased that table. Let us say one showroom person they purchases that table. At what price he purchased? 1,500, 15,000. Okay. We did some value addition. Let us say he did a branding. Just he did a branding or just painted it or fixed a sunmica, something he did. And he started selling it at, let us say, 20,000. He started selling at 20,000. So he will be paying tax on 20,000. 20,000, 18%, how much? How much he will be paying?
3,600.
3,600. 3,600 he will be paying because he will be selling it at 20,000. But how will he pay 3,600? he must be having input tax credit. How much? 2,700. Because he has purchased for this person from this carpenter. He has purchased from 2,700. He has purchased from 2,700. He has purchased for 15,000 on which GST paid 2,700. So 3,600 minus 2,700. 2,700 is the ITC. How much will be paying now? He will again pay 900. What is this 900? 900 is again tax on value addition because 15,000 he purchased, sold it at 20,000. He's made a value addition of 5,000 rupees. On that 5,000 rupees, 18% is 9,000 rupees. 900 rupees. Therefore, he's paying 900 rupees. Understood how it is effectively, it is a tax on value addition. Therefore, we say GST is effectively a tax on value addition. Are you able to get it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll be doing more exercises on this to understand this concept. Some exercises we'll be doing, maybe some model also, if possible, I'll be insisting you to do it. So next class, these things will be clarified in a much better way. But at this stage today, I hope all of us understood that how that GST moves, how GST is collected, how input tax gets adjusted. These are all of these things are the practical things we need to understand very practically. In every business, these things are involved. Each and every business. When you pay, it involves cash outflow. Whenever we purchase, that creates an asset, that creates current asset is created. That current asset is getting adjusted here. We have asset of GST dispense. Right? And when you're selling, I'm supplying, and liability is created. This liability is this. Liability is 2,700, but I have an asset of 1,800. I have to set up that thing, and the net amount 900 I have to pay. Got it? Okay. Today it was in fact a basic level understanding. Next class, 100% all of you will be able to understand. We'll be closing our show right now. Let us catch up in your next class. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.